all, just coming on very quickly, just to go over a couple of things. One of the questions that I get most asked, and have done since I've been with Stampin' Up, is what's the difference between photopolymer and the red rubber stamps? Okay, so there's a couple of differences, okay? First of all, the red rubber stamps, you can get them in wood mount, okay? Now some people like using the wood mounted stamps. Myself personally, I don't, because the simple reason is, see the way we get our stickers, these are red rubber, see the way you get your stickers that come with them, okay? These are what you stick on the back of your wooden blocks. Now, I don't know about you, but me trying to line that up with something that's underneath it, you know, I'm just not that good at it. Some people are, and, you know, good for them, but myself personally, I don't like them. But on saying that, I do like the red rubber stamps. Okay, firstly, for the simple reason is, they come already mounted on the foam. Okay, so I know that that is a good quality stamp. Okay, all I need to do is add my acrylic block or my Stamparatus and go with it. It doesn't need nothing else. Okay, so that's the first thing that I like. Photopolymer are brilliant, and all our stamps, they're not silicone, they are photopolymer, right? Okay, if you stamp with any of our reds or our purples or virtually any colour, 9 times out of 10 it will stain the stamp, but it won't harm it. Okay, and if you have photopolymer, not silicone, photopolymer stamps, and you look after them, they will last you years and years. Okay, so getting back to the red rubber stamp, if you have red rubber stamps, and I'm going to show you a couple of, for instance, and you just keep wiping them with a baby wipe, eventually red rubber stamps, I've known in the past, I'm not saying these, none of the ones I've had from Stampin' Up, touch wood, because I look after them, eventually they can dry up, get very dry and start cracking, and that is where your Stampin' Mist comes in and your Stampin' Scrub. Okay, mine's all dicky-dollied up with Diamantes. Because you spray on one side and you dry on the other. Now this Stampin' Mist, it not only cleans your stamps, but it conditions them as well. I don't know exactly what is in it, and I haven't got my glasses on to read it, but I do know that any avid stamper, and you could ask, I don't know, Couture Creations, Sue Wilson, what have you, any avid stamper will have their own Stampin' Mist, and that's basically what it's for. It's to condition your stamps and keep them in good condition so that they don't dry out and they don't crack. So that is a must. If you're going to become a stamper, that is definitely a must. Okay, and your Stampin' Scrub, definitely recommend, a must. Okay, so we're gonna, let me just find somewhere to plonk all my rubbish down. Now you're getting a bit of a preview of some stamps. This one's alright because you've already, it's in the annual catalogue. With the photopolymer, and I've got a sheet of paper here as well. Okay, I'm going to do a before and after with the photopolymer. Now, I have every faith in these stamps. I love them. I prefer them because I can see through them and I can line them up. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this one here. I think this says happy. Yeah, it does. Happy. Now I'm not worried about it being straight or whatever. I'm going to get me, what colour is this? Fresh Fig. Now I know that this is going to stay in this stamp, but it doesn't bother me because I know that our stamps are that good that it shouldn't bother you. And this is a piece of our Whisper White cardstock. And I'm just cutting a piece off because I want you to see. I might not have picked the better stamp actually because it's a bit wide one. Right, I've got my paper padding under here, so bear that in mind, okay? But I just want you to see the difference. Okay, that's all covered. And I'm just going to, like I say, put it down. And I always say, even if you just leave it like that for 5 seconds, just to let that ink transfer over onto your paper. And you can see I haven't cleaned them beforehand. There's my image there. Okay, lovely font. Really, you could get away with that on a card, not a problem. Okay. So now I'm going to bring in my Stampin' mat. This is Stampin' Up's ones. There are others available. A little bit of a disclaimer there, but anyway. We're going to do the same stamp again, only using our Stampin' mat. Okay. And again, I'm not going to do any jiggly pokery or whatever. I'm just putting it down. I'm not even holding it. I'm just going to leave my hand on it. But always, always give that ink 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's just with the mat on. Can you see down here where it's all patchy? Don't know whether you're picking that up. And look at that with the mat just placed underneath it. Okay, so that's another reason why you need this mat as well if you're using the photopolymer. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of my mat now. So I've showed you two there. The first time I done the photopolymer with nothing, and I do hope that that camera is picking that up. You can see where it's all patchy. You would get away with it. Okay, but look at the difference there. Okay, now we're going to do our red rubber. Now, I know this is not supposed to be a purple flower, but I'm going to keep that stamp out. Using the same ink, and you'll notice I'm not even doing it with me Stampin' mat, because you don't need to, because you've already got that mat built into your red rubber stamp. And this is going to be one of them watercolour ones, and here's me dabbing and dabbing and dabbing. Right, so again, place it on your paper. Just rest your hand on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is one of them, it's not meant to look as though it's, see the way it's like all faded and shaded and whatnot. Okay, so yeah, that is meant to be there. Alright, like I said, I probably didn't. Let's try with Season's Greetings instead of a picture. We'll do writing. Make it fair. Right, Season's Greetings. And I have every faith that this will stamp out just as good as photopolymer, if not better. But everybody asks me the same question. Which do you think is better? Let me just get that all inked up. Yep, good to go. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is your red rubber. And there is your, that happy there is your photopolymer. Okay, equally as good. Now I'm going to show you another way using both stamps. If you have the Stamparatus, okay, and we're sticking with our fresh fig for now, I'm going to take that plate off. Oh no, I'll put it back on because I can put both stamps on then. I'm taking my Halls stamp, or Happy, sorry. Putting that on there. And we're going to do it firstly. This is the photopolymer stamp, and I've just got it on the lid. And you'll notice I've left my black mat in. Okay, because this acts, that black mat acts the same as your stamping mat. Bring it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And bring it up. Okay, and I've done it upside down. Trust me. Now we're going to do it with the photopolymer, and you'll notice I'm removing this black mat because we've got our mat built into the back of our stamp. Okay, so let me see, I'll probably get this lined up wrong and all. Put it there. And there's it upside down. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Okay, so which do I think is better? Both of them, they both have the place. Even the Stamparatus has its place if you're batch making. I'm going to have to wipe that off. This will come in, this will be your lifesaver if you batch make Christmas cards or whatever, if you do workshops, if you do craft stores, whatever. This will become your bestest buddy. Okay, if you want something quick and simple, your acrylic block. Now, talking about acrylic blocks, here's another one for you. Right, our acrylic blocks, and that's, you can see my finger either side, so you can see how wide they are, right? And they're grooved so that it makes it easier for you to, just let me get in frame, pick up and put down without putting your fingers in the ink. Although I do manage to put my fingers in the ink because I have long nails, and once the nails go in the ink it gets everywhere. But they are thick. They're about, let me see. They're about 2 of them grid lines thick. Okay, so if you can see that, they're about 2 thick. And as I say, they have that groove in for your fingers to rest in to make it easier for you to stamp. And the wood stamps are the same. The wood stamps have the groove in the wood to make it easier for you to hold and stamp. Our acrylic blocks are thick, okay, while everybody else's are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I don't know about you, but I would sooner have something thick and chunky that I know I can hold than something thin, getting covered in ink, getting the ink all over my project, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's just my opinion. You might be totally different. But I've showed you there the difference between our stamps. There's the first happier done. It's alright, but I would sooner have the second one on my project. And there is the red rubber stamp. Perfect first time. Not an issue. And again using the Stamparatus. So at the end of the day, I think Stampin' Up, their photopolymer are true photopolymer stamps. They are not silicone. They won't go yellow. They won't go hard if you keep them conditioned and look after them. They might stain with our inks because the inks are dye-based, but it doesn't harm them, their usage in any way. Our red rubber stamps are absolutely fantastic, and if I could get every one of them in a red rubber stamp, I would. If you go on the Stampin' Up website, you would go on stamps, and you would go for either clear mount stamps, okay, which would mean either the photopolymer or the red rubber. Then there's one where it's just photopolymer. Then there's another one where it says red rubber, and under that red rubber option you can either pick the wood mounted or the clear mount. Okay, so yeah, so that was just a couple of little tests I wanted to touch base on with you. There's a place for both of them, but if I could get everyone a red rubber, I would. That's just my preference. I like red rubber, but I also like photopolymer for when you're doing a specific thing and you know you need to get that lined up precise. Because you can see through the photopolymer to line it up for your project. Whereas you can't with the red rubber stamps. That's the only difference to me. With the red rubber, I can line it up if I've got a grid, or, you know, I know exactly where to... I try to position it before I actually put the ink on it. You know, in my mind, I can see where it needs to go. But the photopolymer you can see through. So it depends on your own personal preference. Myself, personally, I do tend to go for the clear mount stamps, which is i.e. the photopolymer or the red rubber. I don't particularly like the wood mount. Not that, I mean, that's just my preference, because I can't seem to get them lined up, the sticker lined up with the stamp, if you know what I mean. So like you stamping blind sort of thing. But if you're used to stamping that way, then you would disagree with me. You would say, no, I definitely prefer the wood mount, which, you know, it's your preference sort of thing. But yeah, getting back, loads of people ask me, oh, which do you think is better, Mel? Both of them. It depends on what you want to do. I have not come across really a bad stamp with Stampin' Up, and I really haven't. If I had done, I wouldn't have been with them for over 2 years. I wouldn't have spent as much money as I have over them 2 years. So it's personal preference at the end of the day. It's entirely up to you. And it also goes with the the rest of the equipment that you use. If you use the photopolymer, I do strongly suggest getting a stampin' mat, which is just foam. You know, I use this when I'm piercing me flowers and everything, because you can see with all the holes all over it. So it's just a piece of foam, and if you do go for the red rubber stamp, you've already got your foam on the back. So there you go. That's my opinion. I'm sorry if it wasn't the one you wanted, but I've tried to explain it the best way I can. So yeah, there's a place in my life for both photopolymer and the red rubber stamps. The only ones in my preference that I don't like is the wood mount, because I just cannot line the sticker up with the stamp precise enough for when I'm stamping. So, you know, you roll the dice, you take your chances, and you find out which you like and which you prefer. So there you go. And you probably sat there now thinking, oh Christ, I wished I'd never asked her. Anyway, I shall go. On that happy note, I'm going to clean these stamps with my Stampin' Mist to condition them. And on that happy note, I'll give you the sneak preview of the catalogue that's coming up this week. There you go. Right, I'm off. Have a wonderful bank holiday Monday. Bye.